Hi everyone, I'm Randall from Randall's ESL Cyber Listening Lab, providing tips on language learning, culture, and human development. And today I'd like to summarize a online Zoom meeting that I had with a group of teachers today. We called it the Teacher Swap Shop to share ideas on language teaching, technology, and other ideas that have enhanced their language learning. And so one of the things that I'd like to do today is kind of go over several principles that came out of that meeting. The meeting was not recorded, so I want to share some of those things. It was great to meet great teachers, great human beings from around the world that are interested in engaging in sharing and learning together. And I think we find ourselves in a world today where we need that greater human connection from many people to continue in our work, continue in our daily lives, and so forth. So feel free to make any comments during this short presentation, any thoughts that you might have regarding it, and we'll go from here. All right, Abdullah, Randall, many greetings from Turkey. Great to hear from you, Abdullah. Thanks for joining. And again, everyone, feel free to share your comments. Isra, hi, how are you doing today? That's great. All right, well, let's go ahead and begin. And there were a number of teachers that joined in this presentation. I'm hoping that in the future we can have similar swap shop meetings where people can come and be engaged. And I think that nothing we do, well, we don't live in a vacuum. We are really dependent upon others for our growth, for our human development, and so forth. And that's what I'd like to talk. So first of all, the first principle that I shared today was actually from me. And again, the purpose of the swap shop, if I do it again as well, was not to show the latest technologies and everything that you could do to make your class fancy. It could be just a simple teaching tip, anything that helps enhance language learning. So the first thing actually came from a book. I shared this book right here. It's called You Are Not So Smart. You Are Not So Smart. And again, I put these in the show notes earlier today. And one of the powerful things that I've learned over time, especially working with students from many different countries, I might have a student from Oman and from Saudi Arabia and Chile, Brazil, Japan. And all of these students often are studying with international students for the first time. And one of the things I've noticed is that we tend to see the world through the glasses of our own understanding. And what is really interesting about this particular book, again, You Are Not So Smart, and there is actually a podcast, is that often in our lives we have thinking errors. In other words, whether they're logical fallacies, whether they're heuristics, and heuristics are mental shortcuts. For example, oh, she's from Japan, therefore she must love sushi. Oh, this student is from Brazil, he must play soccer in his free time. Those are often what we call mental shortcuts. And one of the things that I like about this particular book, again, You Are Not So Smart, is that it focuses on helping human beings, students, develop their cognition, their ability to reason and think clearly. So my teaching tip today, and again, each teacher shared just for about 5 minutes, and then we had some really engaging conversation, was to, no matter what technology you're using, no matter what tool, if you're not thinking clearly, if you're not able to rationally understand and analyze information, it doesn't matter what technology you're using. So that was the first point. Let's see who else we have that's joining us. Orsi, greetings from Hungary. Your website is a great help. Happy to hear you. Riyadh, addicted to your videos. Well, thank you. And Riyadh, I'm going to be sharing the tip that you gave us today. Carol, can I find it on the internet? If you mean the book, actually, if this, Carol, if this is what you mean, this book, one of the things is that if you don't get the book, there is the podcast. And the podcast is wonderful. Again, helping us analyze our thinking. And I think this is really important, especially for students that often have stereotypical images of the world around them. And that's one of the things that I mentioned. Karim, greetings. Thank you. Riyadh I have another activity that I did with my students. I posted a video in my Facebook study group, and I challenged them to make a video in which they talk about any video they feel comfortable with as a way to encourage them to speak and overcome their shyness. That is great. And I'm going to come back to Riyadh in his comment that he shared a little bit today.
Let's see here. Maria says, hello, Maria from Brazil. Hello, Maria. And another comment from Guatemala, La Nina. Well, thank you. And again, I apologize for that technical difficulty that I had just a minute ago. So in addition to this book, You Are Not So Smart, one of the other things deals with QR codes. And this was brought up from Rita from Malaysia, and she was talking about QR codes, which is a two-dimensional code that you can use to scan with your phone. It's a kind of a code, kind of like this right here. You can see that that is a code. And these codes not only point to websites, and again, one of the things that she shared was QR Code Monkey. That is a QR code generator. Not only do these QR codes point to phone numbers and websites and text alone, but there are also audio QR codes. And one of the things that's very personal to me, if I may share with you, is this QR code right there is actually, it says, learn more about Joshua Scott Davis. That's our son. And when he died, we wanted to remember him. We wanted other people to know about his life. So this QR code is a little plaque that we have sitting on his headstone in the cemetery where people can come back by, use their phone, click on it, and then it takes to his website and they can learn more information. But again, Rita shared some wonderful ideas on how QR codes can be used specifically for sharing information. We have Edwin from El Salvador. Welcome. Elmir from America. Okay, Elmir, how are you today? I'm doing well, thank you. And Abdullah says, I owe a lot, thousands of thanks. I've become this point definitely with your videos, your amazing work. You make this world a better place. Thank you again. Well, the reality is everyone working together makes this a wonderful world. And that was what was so exciting this morning, to have that interactive Zoom group of teachers meeting together and sharing ideas. And certainly what I hope to do in the future is perhaps something like that with students as well. So in addition to the book, You're Not So Smart, then we went on to QR codes. Again, QR Code Monkey is a wonderful site for creating QR codes. Then Carol from Costa Rica shared an educational management software called Q10. That allows teachers and schools and institutions to manage their schools with not only their classes, but invoicing and other things. Now, there's certainly other platforms out there, Blackboard, Canvas, but I'm happy that that Carol was able to share, give an idea of, in addition to other platforms, the Q10 is another educational platform. Again, I'll be sharing some of these ideas in the show notes as well. The next idea was, I think, really interesting as well. Many times students think about designing PowerPoint presentations, and that's what often students gravitate to is PowerPoint. But what if you want something even more interactive that allows you to add quizzes, animation in a different way, videos beyond what PowerPoint could do, and it's free? And Genially is one of those types of interfaces and online platforms that can do that. This was an excellent part of the presentation because it gives other options where you can have this interactive platform and integrate it into into your presentation and so forth. And another one that went along with that was Canva. Canva is another type of software and presentation that can be used in conjunction with that. Another idea, in addition to interactive presentations, generally, Canva was also mentioned, is the idea of using other websites in the development of language skills. And so Agenda Web was one of those that was brought by Maria in Brazil. And she mentioned about, wow, here is a website that you can practice listening, speaking, grammar. There were like, I don't know how many types of exercises with just the articles. And it was just pretty amazing of all of the options that teachers could actually use and develop as part of their presentation. So, I mean, certainly if you have other websites that you know of that could be used in the development of language skills, please let us know. And going back to the interactive, that was Kaler from Costa Rica that brought that up. And Kaler also mentioned about the use of blogs as part of the classroom experience. So again, Maria, thank you very much for bringing up Agenda Web. I thought that was a really interesting website as well. In addition to that, we had Facebook video activities, and that was Riyadh that mentioned that, where he would use his smartphone, record a particular video, and then in Facebook have different prompts for students to respond to. It could be grammar, it could be any of those type of activities that could be used. Let's see what other comments that we have here. We have Ymir from Colombia. Many greetings. Yes, and says, what is Q10? And again, Carol mentioned in the presentation about Q10 as being an educational management software that actually can run schools, can run classrooms. Again, in the notes, I'll be sharing with that information with you. And again, Carol, feel free to chime in and share your experience on that. I found it similar, but yet different than like a Canvas is another type of educational and institutional management software. Carol says, the best, thanks for your amazing work. You can count on me whenever you want. It was my pleasure to be part of the meeting this morning. And certainly what I want to do in the future is have more of these type of presentations. Celsi says, love your listening lab. I appreciate it. Riyadh says, Canva is a great tool to give life to your students' worksheets. So when we talk about Canva, it is kind of like a mixture of media creation software. You can use it to create worksheets. You can use it to create PowerPoints. You can use it to create YouTube thumbnails. It is so powerful. And I think the nice thing, again, that is free. The nice thing about some of these tools is that it allows teachers and students to make use of free tools that are available online. Thanks very much for sharing. I use your page. Thank you, Dari. And yes, and thank you. I think I would suggest taking a look at that website for more information because I think it can explain it a little bit in more detail. So again, in the presentation we had, I don't know, there were about 10 of us sharing ideas. And again, each teacher had about 5 minutes to share. Then we had ongoing dialogue and different ideas, batting ideas back and forth. But I find ourselves in this world today that the need to engage, because I find myself, I can't work in a vacuum. I need that human engagement. Even behind me, you see Woody and Buzz and Bear. Well, we all need that human connection. And I think that was one of the exciting things. So this morning, again, I shared a book called You Are Not So Smart. There is, again, a podcast with that name. QR codes can do so many possibilities. Again, the QR code monkey was one that was mentioned today. Again, the educational software Q10, interactive presentations and more. That was really interesting as well. Again, there are a number of websites that can be used online and the idea of Facebook video activities. Again, it was a pleasure to just be a part of such a vibrant community of teachers and students. Feel free to share any other comments that you might have about these different tools. In the future, I hope and plan to do additional these teacher swap shops. Hopefully that we can bring students into play in some of these interactivities as well. So let's see here. Riyadh says, the best thing about Canva is that it is free. Absolutely. Yes, there are some additional features within Canva that cost. There could be, if you want to have access to their large image library, that costs a little bit extra, but certainly you don't need that. Luis says EnglishPeople.com offers wonderful verb tutorial, which shows visual timelines. Great idea. Thank you for sharing that. Carol says it is a platform talking about Q10 that allows students and teachers to be in touch. You can post your lessons, videos, any material. Also, it has forums, and that has Zoom built in. In other words, you can integrate Zoom into that. And she uses that in her visual lessons. Another one is Educaplay. Is a good play where you can create many activities, but the page is in Spanish. I've never used it with English language. Well, who knows? Perhaps we can learn together. And yes, it says, thank you very much for explaining that. So again, today, I just wanted to do a brief summary of this Teacher Swap Shop. If you're interested in participating, let me know in the future. I'm also working on creating a group on my Facebook page where it allows teachers to share ideas as well. So again, I want to thank you very much for joining this summary of today's Teacher Swap Shop, and I look forward to having other presentations in the future. Again, feel free to continue to post notes about any tools, books, ideas that you find useful to you. So until the next time, I look forward to sharing more ideas in the future. Bye-bye.